Ellis Robinson is a twitchy and explosive cornerback with the coverage skills and traits to be a top 15 pick in the NFL draft.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I'm Damian Parson. That's Keith Sanchez. And today's episode is brought to you by Odoo. Great organizations win because operations matter. That's why you should get Odoo. Try for free today at odoo.com/lockedon. That's odoo.com/lockedon. And on today's episode, we're breaking down Georgia cornerback Ellis Robinson IV. We're going to explain the grades, give you any comps that come to mind, talk about the concerns a little bit later in the show. But as always, we start off talking about the pros and the things that they do well. Keith, this is a highly competitive and I would say athletic cover corner for the Georgia Bulldogs, who I think we haven't even seen him reach. We haven't even seen the peak of his ceiling off of the last year's film. I think there's a lot of growth and room to grow for this young man to develop. But Keith, what stood out to you for the young corner for Georgia, who targeted 35 times last year, allowed 15 receptions. He wasn't a full-time starter until I think after the Tennessee game, but 4 PBUs, 4 interceptions on the season. What stood out to you about Ellis Robinson IV's game?
Yeah, I mean, to not start off how I started off with Lennon Moore and jump straight to the ball production, I'm going to talk about his athleticism. And I'm going to say this, that the quick twitch and explosiveness, this guy's transitions, whether that's flipping his hips, getting back and getting into phase with a wide receiver, or whether that's triggering downhill if he's playing off coverage, his transitions, planting drives are explosive. He gets there immediately. This guy has quick feet, he has fluid feet. You can take his lower half, and I'm more than sure you can use it for teach tape for a lot of defensive backs, as far as if you're doing like the weave drill, or if doing a W drill, if you're just talking about different things. This young man feet are they're exceptional. And it's more so it points to athletic ability too. And when I watched him play some off coverage, and that could be a difficult spot sometimes too. When you're playing off coverage, and let's say if you're on the backside of the defense and the ball is on the opposite hash, right? You kind of in position where the wide receiver has a little bit more space, right? So if you're playing off, they can break in and break out. And I watched this young man deal with a wide receiver running an in break, and he immediately closed space, right? And got it down and kind of smothered the route. I was impressed with this young man. Just looking at his feet, I was impressed with him.
Yeah, he twitched up. Like, I was watching those reps of him. There was a rep, I think he was playing like off coverage. Receiver ran a post. They got him the zone turn, and to go from a zone turn to being right back in the hip pocket on a deep throw is not easy. And to watch him close that space, the hips, he's like, you talk about the teach tape, Keith. He might be one of those guys when you're going through those combine drills, that's like, hey, this is what it's supposed to look like, right? Like, and Keith, I'll not comping him to him, but I remember Jeff Okudah coming out of Ohio State. And I remember watching Okudah, and I thought Okudah was going to be a lockdown defender. Now, that was much younger. That was years and years ago, right? Years ago. Going back to his combine, I was like, oh, I see what the problem was. Like, he was kind of stiff-hipped. Like, his transitions were not fluid at all. Like, you know what I mean? Flipping and turning and things like that. Like, those transitions weren't clean. Total opposite when you watch Ellis Robinson. So that was one of the first things I noticed with him as well, was just that twitchiness, the short area quickness, and his foot quickness in the short area. Keith, I think this is a guy we talked about a little bit or multiple times with Leonard Moore. He can soft press and mirror technique wide receivers very well.
With no issue at all.
No issue at all. Like, and that's why I think like he's going to test pretty well, because he's very confident in like it being tight to the line of scrimmage and being right up in your face and not even pressing you to reroute you. He's not worried about guys running by him, because even if you do like end up doing it, Keith, he's able to get back in phase. He's got recovery speed. So when watching him, like, yeah, he doesn't mind pressing or anything like that. Love watching that ability. And then his aggression through the catch point, like this, even though, like, he's listed at 6 foot, 180. We'll talk about that next segment. You know what I mean? Don't know if I trust that he's 6 foot, but nonetheless, he's super competitive, right? And the ball, I think you was about to talk about the ball
That's
skills.
what I was gonna go to too.
Yeah,
The competitiveness. This dude is aggressive. He flops around the football. He plays, and cornerbacks, right? Like it's almost like wide receivers. They can afford to not play every single snap, and what I mean by that is, if it's running the football or something like that, right? Like they can try to run people off, or just different things that they can do, right? I'm not trying to disrespect the wide receiver position or say that the great ones, what I'm saying is that not all of them go full speed every single rep, right? It's hard to do that playing O-line. You can't take a rep off. You take a rep off playing O-line, it's going to be obvious because it's not going to turn out well. But for cornerbacks, it's the same thing. But this guy, like, you don't have to give the effort to run to the football every single time. He does, right? He runs to the football. He flies around. He's a guy that try to make a play. He's a guy that you're going to say, man, this young man is always around the football. Like, I was impressed with his competitive nature. And they say this a lot, what the word and the phrase strain to finish. Strain to finish a rep, strain to finish a play, and try to make a play.
No, 100%. Like he gives you full effort all the time. And like when we talk about the ball skills, Keith, he's got interceptions where it looks like he was the intended receiver. Like he looks like the receiver on the play, and like his aggression to not just, we see guys like, okay, the ball was thrown to you. All right, I make the catch. No, he's got a pick where the ball wasn't thrown directly to him. He had to go up and snatch it because they were trying to like layer it over the top of him. Again, he's 6 foot, listed at 6 foot, might be 5'11", right? But nonetheless, like, I think the athleticism from his speed and twitchiness, I think he probably is going to jump high in the vert too. Because like this young man went up and got a couple interceptions out of the four, and I'm just like, all right, he looks like a receiver. Like he went up, like that phrase of, oh, corners are just receivers who can't catch the football. Not Ellis Robinson. You know what I mean? Not Ellis Robinson. Like I'm telling, full hands, no body, no shoulder pad. It's not touching jersey. He just goes up, fully extends, and like, this ball's not getting over my head. And he goes and makes the play. I think this young man, again, like, he wasn't the starter, he wasn't the full-time starter for the first couple of weeks, but I understood why Kirby Smart said, let's press play and let this young man, because I think he's a redshirt freshman, so he's going into his redshirt sophomore year, if I'm not mistaken, which makes him draft eligible. This young man can absolutely ball. Like, and I understand, and he's a little different than what we talked about with Leonard Moore. He triggers to the run, and he looks to me, even though he's not as big as from a frame standpoint as Leonard Moore. He's got that dog in him where he's like,
he's scrappy.
He's real scrappy. Like, he gets downhill, he's throwing it. Like, I think there was a corner route, and he was playing off coverage. He triggers, the receiver caught it, and he just throws a shoulder into him, just like rocks him. And I'm like, he just stands over. I'm like, yeah, he likes to hit. We're gonna see if you got the, just like the running backs we talked about last. Like, you might not have the frame to do this every single time, but I like that you got that mentality that you're not an all bark, no bite type of dog. Like, he will absolutely, he's got a bite. He will hit you. Heck, the run, he filled the alley against one of the running backs and just head on collision. I'm like, I don't typically want my corners to do that, right? Like, you know what I mean?
But I'll take it.
I like it. So this young man, very, very fun player, very good player. And like I said earlier, Keith, I don't think we've seen the best of this kid yet.
No, I agree with that. I agree. I think there's still another level to be unlocked with him. But this part, in watching corners, right, he's fun to watch because he tries to put himself around the action, and you feel like something is going to happen when you're watching him. I just thought about this, Keith, because I don't know if you noticed it too. Like, he would be outside, and like Ole Miss did it. It's a couple, and they start going into like the short motion into stacks right before the snap. This is a high level communicator and high football IQ corner, because like when he sees that short motion, he's talking to the other DBs on that side, like, hey, and especially in man coverage, to where they switch assignments pre-snap, to where so there's no confusion. They're going to release in different angles and
They're going in different directions. Hey, if he crosses face, you go outside, you take him. Like he passed off. I forget the receiver that went to San Fran from Ole Miss. I don't know why I'm blaming him.
Well,
I'm
thinking Trey. It's not Trey.
No, it's not Trey. I
was thinking Trey Harris.
Deshaun Stribling.
And look, it came through at the same time.
Yes. Deshaun Stribling, he passed him off. He was running he motioned down. He passed him off on a crossing route. He took the slot who was running the out route, clamped it immediately. And I was like, then the slot receiver takes the inside receiver who was trying to run a vertical route. And he did that so many times as a starter. I'm like, yeah, you're going to transition well into an NFL defense because that's high-level IQ for a young player.
Yep. No, I agree with DP. Let's do this, man. Let's talk about some of the areas of improvement for Ellis Robinson, the cornerback from Georgia. Let's discuss that coming up next.
The biggest stage in world soccer is here, and every match feels like it has the potential for a memorable moment. One goal can completely change the energy of a game, shift momentum, and alter the outcome in an instant. That's what makes tournament soccer so exciting, from the opening whistle to the final kick. Now FanDuel is giving fans another reason to stay locked into every match with every goal pays. Bet on the match and get bonus bets for every goal scored in that match. More goals mean more bonus bets. All you have to do is turn on your token. You don't have to just bet on the World Cup. You can get in on the action for the NFL draft, the 2027 NFL draft, and who will be the number one overall pick. Trinidad Champ is at a plus 8,000 right now. Heck, Byron Brown over for Auburn, their new transfer quarterback, plus 8,000 as well. You can go ahead and get in on these odds today. From the opening whistle to the final kick, let there be goals on FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com today to get started right now. Breaking down the concerns for Georgia star corner Ellis Robinson IV. Keith, what stood out to you? What were some of the things you wanted to see the young player? I think it was first year getting a lot of reps and playing time. You expect some peaks and valleys. What stood out to you that you want to see him improve on?
Yeah, I think more than an area of improvement, I think it leans itself to a concern of, okay, what's his size, right? And I think this will be a young man. Will he struggle with bigger wide receivers, right? And I think I've seen shades of that just from last year's film, that the bigger guys, you're talking about like trying to dominate at the catch point. You're talking about out physicaling him. I always go to what I always talk about, DP, the quick slant and the curl route, right? Are they able to body him, use their body just to kind of, they kind of throw their elbow out, the chicken wing a little bit, right? To create that little bit of separation at the top of the route. Are they going to be able to easily move him? So him listed at 6 foot 180, I believe. Is that closer to 5'11", 175? That's going to be the question, right? Like, is he going to be truly 6 foot? And when he comes in at the combine, is he going to be 180, 185, right? And how does that translate? But I think size is going to be a situation. And I think if you talk about that, the discussion is going to be, is he a nickel corner? I think that's going to be a true conversation of, do we kick him inside or can he play both? So that's going to be the biggest thing for Ellis Robinson, because to me, the athletic traits I've seen enough with that part. It's for him. It's the size part.
That was the biggest thing for me too, Keith. Because as you mentioned, I saw him struggle. Like was it Chris Brazo? Like he didn't start that game, but they rotated him in, I think maybe for Dalen Everett or one of the other corners. And like, I think Chris Brazo came in like 6'4". Oh, not 6'4". I don't think it was like a full 6'5", but he was like close to it. And the size discrepancy in terms of height between the two was easy to identify. And then he got beat for like that big long touchdown. And Chris Brazo went over the top of him and played through the PI and caught the ball. And I think he took it the rest of the way for the touchdown thing, and that was a game he gave it like 100 yards. And then he had some struggles with the physicality of Deshaun Stribling and everything against Ole Miss in the second game in the college football playoffs when Ole Miss beat them. So the size down, I think honestly, keep looking at him, I think he's probably 5'11". 5'11". I could see between 175, 180 for sure. I definitely could see that. So I want to. And again, like, does it, in terms of his coverage ability, is it a big negative? No, right? Because Keith, he's a guy that uses more soft press than just bump and run jam technique anyway. He wants to mirror you. He wants to stay in phase, stay in the hip pocket. He'll like give you a quick jam, when he needs to once you release and things like that. But he's not being overly physical, right? At the line of scrimmage, like rep after rep. Because if you're 5'11", 175, and you get up on, AJ Brown, and you try to, like, for example, perfect example, Emmanuel Forbes. You remember we were high on Emmanuel Forbes coming out.
Yep.
And Emmanuel didn't alter his game at all in the NFL. Emmanuel said, "I'm going to jam everybody." I was like, Emmanuel, this is not. No, you are not in the weight class for AJ Brown. You cannot do this, right? Like, you can't go against him. Jalen Coker, a big 220-pound wide. These big boys are strong. So how about you more mirror, attach yourself to the hip, and then make it a tight window throw? He's not developed that at all. He still tries to jam everybody, and like, he plays too physical. Even remember, I think my first year at the Draft Network, Roger McCreary coming out of Auburn, and he was one of those undersized corners who one of the things we kept applauding him for, Keith, self-awareness. He's like, man, I'm undersized. I'm not about to be at the line of scrimmage boxing with you. No, I'm gonna make you be patient, and you're going to have to dictate where you're going, and then I'm going to get right in your hip pocket. And I see the same things with Ellis. So definitely the frame is a concern for me, Keith. The other things, I feel like, you tell me if you saw it, I feel like there was times where he was late to locate the ball and then put him in a face guarding situation on contested catches where and then you got the height issue or the concerns with that, like, creep in, and you're like, all right, you gotta turn your head a little bit quicker and locate the football down the field. I just felt like he was caught face guarding a little bit too much at times.
Yeah, it's weird because I believe that he believes that he's fast, right? To have makeup speed. But it comes with reps of confidence, right? And meaning that the confidence that, like, hey, I may have lost early, but I'm just in trail technique. I'll be okay, right? And that's usually because there were times where, like, I agree with you that I thought that he could have got his head around to make a play on the football. Like, for instance, maybe the Tennessee, right? When you're talking about the Chris Brazzell, like a deep shot, you have time to get your head around, but when you're not even taking that shot to get your head around because all you're thinking is like, man, I just got to make up, then you will never make a play on the football, right? But a deep ball, hey, get your head around and see if you can go turn into the wide receiver with that deep shot. So I agree with you that it's and maybe that's an area of improvement for sure, just to see, like, hey, can he develop that part, right? The part of now getting my head around on these deep shots or just different opportunities to be comfortable to get my head around to make a play on the football, because he's had ball production, but you could argue that it could be even more ball production.
No, I mean, because to your point, not turn on that play against Chris Brazzell. That's why you got the DPI. You don't turn to locate the ball. You're just trying to get back in phase. Because I don't think because again, I think that was his first true rep against Brazzell, who early in that game was having success, and Brazzell hit him with a little shuffle foot fire, and then he took a speed release inside. I don't think he was expecting Brazzell to be as quick off the line, and that's how he got him early in the rep. And then you're just trying to get back in phase, but then when the receiver stops, you don't take that as a key to turn and look for the ball. You run right into him, make contact. Ref's like, well, that's a flag. But then on the compound net, Brazzell goes up above you, snatches the ball, comes down, stays on his feet, and it's a big play, right? So definitely want to see him, that was just one of the things I noticed. I'm like, man, like, you don't have to, not saying he panics, like you talked about, like, downfield is either panic or patient. I don't think he panics. I just think he's so focused on getting back in the hip pocket and getting back in phase on the receiver that he doesn't look consistently. There's times he does look and he makes a play on the ball, whether it's a PBU or he makes it a very tightly contested catch situation. I think he had one of those against Deshaun Stribling down the field in the playoff game where he was like right there and everything and whatnot. But I want to see this young man just. I think there's a lot of room for him to grow, Keith. I think this dude could be. I got some comps. That's the only thing I'm gonna say. I got some comps, some size comps. I'm pulling this stuff up while we've been talking this whole time. I'm like, interesting player.
Well, DP, let's get to it, man. Let's not wait on it. Let's go ahead and get to these NFL comps for Ellis Robinson, and we're going to drop the draft grade, the tier that we have Ellis Robinson. And I'm going to ask you, DP, who do you have as CB1 thus far, right? Do you have Ellis Robinson over Leonard Moore? Do you have Leonard Moore over Ellis Robinson? We'll discuss all that coming up next.
Running a business shouldn't feel like you're trying to connect a bunch of systems that were never designed to work together. One app for accounting, another for inventory, another for sales, and somehow none of them talk to each other. That's where Odoo comes in. Odoo is an all-in-one business management software that brings every part of your business together in one powerful platform. From sales and accounting to inventory and marketing, everything works in one place, helping your team move faster, stay organized, and focus on growing the business instead of managing software. The best organizations know that success isn't just about talent. It's about having everyone working toward the same goal. That's true in sports, just like it is in business. I mean, look at the NBA champions, guys. The New York Knicks really set the stage in the NBA Finals, knocking off the Spurs. A very talented young team, but the Knicks played as one full unit. And that's what matters most to get them the dub. Great organizations win because operations matter. That's why you should get Odoo. Try for free today at odoo.com/locked on. That's odoo.com/locked on. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen of the day. And thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network in America. Is all because of you, our everydayers. And speaking of everydayers, you can join the Everydayer Club and talk to me, Keith. You can join our Discord and everything like that. I'm planning on dropping some clips in there for you guys so you can see what we talk about. Since we can't show it, on video, I can show it to you in Discord and you can see exactly what we're talking about. Hey, flipping your hips, whatever. Any questions you have, you can ask us, mock drafts, all that type of stuff in the Discord channel. All you got to do is go to lockedonnfldraft.supercast.com to join. And I believe there might be a free trial still going on right now, so go check that out. But Keith, let's talk about it. Explain the grade. Ellis Robinson IV, again, I think redshirt sophomore, going into the redshirt sophomore season, young player. I think we had a redshirt sophomore drafted this year to the Giants. The Colton Hood was a redshirt sophomore, right? So, and that was, he had a lot of buzz. I think he went like second round to the Giants and everything. What is your grade for him right now, Keith, in terms of Ellis Robinson IV for the young player?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a Pro Bowl grade, right? So first round grade, a Pro Bowl grade. I have him and Leonard Moore in the same bucket. Listen, we talked about the size, we talked about the locating the football. Those are two things. The size part we won't get answered till we get to the combine. Maybe he goes to the Senior Bowl as a redshirt sophomore. Who knows, right? Like we'll figure that part out. Get the measurements on him, but the getting his head around the football and just the lack of reps, right? Like him jumping in last year, right? Not being a full-time starter, then jumping in and becoming a starter. I think they're just minor things that I want to see. Does he take the next step as a football player? Right now, I want to finish answering that question. Do I believe he's an outside corner or can he play nickel? So I went with a first-round grade. I think this is a first-round cornerback prospect. When we look at the first-round cornerback prospects, I think like you mentioned Colton Hood, I wouldn't even put them in the same bracket. I think it's totally different as far as what they offer you and provide you as cornerback. So that's what I went. I think this is a Pro Bowl caliber corner, and I gave him a first-round grade. I'll let you drop your grade, and we could talk some comps.
Yeah, no, I gave him a top 15 grade, Keith. I could see if he takes if he just kind of continues to flesh out his game and just even elevates and plays at like a higher level for a full season. At Georgia, you in the spotlight, you're gonna be tested in the SEC, you're gonna get to the CFP and then be in the bright lights, and you're out there making plays and like being able to replicate. Where in terms of you have 4 interceptions and 4 PBUs in 2025. Let's say you up that to 10 PBUs, 5-6 interceptions in 2026, right? And you're turning around and locating the ball and things like that. Keith, I wouldn't be shocked. I'm not saying he will be, but I wouldn't be shocked if there's rumors of him being the top 10 pick. Like with his twitchiness, his explosiveness, his ability. Because heck, think back to Devin Witherspoon. Like I give him a first-round grade, top 15 grade. Keith, Devin Witherspoon went top 10. And for those who don't know, Devin Witherspoon came in. He's 5'11 and a half, 181, 31 and a quarter on the arm, 73 5/8 on in terms of his wingspan. He had an 18th percentile wingspan, 43 percentile arm length, right? And I don't think he ran the 40 or anything like that. So not at least in mock draftable doesn't have a 40 time on Devin Witherspoon.
Was he still recovering from an injury?
He might have been.
I don't think he did any on the field activities, I believe.
Like he went ahead of, because was that the draft of Bijan? I think he went ahead of Bijan. He went ahead of Jalen Carter. Like he went ahead of Jahmyr Gibbs. Like he went high, right? But he was an undersized corner that we didn't have the speed testing and stuff for, and he went high. But Keith, talk about comps. I was like, man, I was thinking about different guys. So I want to go back.
See if you're gonna bring up one of the two that I
have. So I want to go back to the 2010 draft class, about a decade and a half ago, a little over that. Joe Hayden. I thought about Joe Hayden, Keith. 5'11", 193, 32 3/4 on the arm. He ran a Joe Hayden, I think he's a more explosive athlete. Joe Hayden ran a 4.52 coming out.
I think that, remember, because there was like a big conversation because he might have ran slower than that, right? And then I think he ran at Florida, it was like on a track at Florida or something like that. I remember it being like a big conversation around his 40-yard dash time.
But like Joe Hayden at Florida was locked down. Like dude was a baller. He had a dog in him, and then he went and played some very productive years for the Cleveland Browns. And later in his career, he played pretty solid for the Pittsburgh Steelers as well, if I remember correctly. And Keith, I feel like this might be the one that we have similar. I don't know. We'll see. Denzel Ward.
Yep.
I thought about this. Yep.
And it was funny that you mentioned Joe Hayden. I'm like, all right, he got close because I'm like, that's a Cleveland Brown cornerback. I'm like, I'm gonna see if he get to my God. But I thought of Denzel Ward and Greg Newsome, the two more Cleveland Brown cornerbacks. So DP, should we go ahead and put a mock draft out there and put Ellis Robinson to the Cleveland Browns?
Listen, I mean, they might need it because they'll have I don't think Martin Emerson's there anymore, and Newsome got traded and everything like that, but they still got Denzel, and I think that Denzel came in at 5'10", 7/8, 183, 74 3/4 wingspan, 31 1/4 arm length. He ran a 4.32 with a 39-inch vert, and he put up 16 reps on the bench. And I always go back to listening to when my boy Malik Wright, he talked. He had I think it was like last offseason where he had Jamar Chase on his podcast stuff, and I think he asked him. I remember it was like the I Am Athlete podcast years ago. It's like, who's the toughest corner? That corner that you always kind of get up for to play. He every time he mentions Denzel Ward, and I'm not saying that Ellis Robinson going to be that be that high end corner, but the similarities are there. Yeah,
I think he has the opportunity to. I think and I mean to cut you off, DP.
No, you're good.
What I want to say was that it's going to be up to the NFL team that drafts him to where they say, you know what, do what you do best, right? Yeah. Like instead of me telling you to go be physical wide receivers, lean into what you lean into. Go do what you do best. Like just mirror off the line of scrimmage, use your quickness, and then jump into their hip pocket once they declare a route or declare where they're going upfield, right? Once they make them 2 steps upfield, they go ahead, jump in their hip pocket and roll with them. Because I think if he does that, he can make the game easy for himself and without a doubt. That's why I thought of, and both Denzel Ward and Greg Newsome are both undersized-ish kind of cornerbacks that have won because they use their quickness and they play their game.
Yep. No, they're quick. Denzel Ward, elite top end speed of 4.32, but then also being so technically refined. And I see a lot of that in Ellis Robinson game. So like you said, Keith, the opportunity for this young man to become almost a carbon copy or that kind of that variant of Denzel Ward, it's a likely possibility. I want to see him take that step forward this year, really, because now I can't remember who we talked about, and I mentioned this. I'm like, you're not coming out of nowhere. You're not hiding in plain sight. We know who you are. Opposing offenses and quarterbacks in the SEC know what you're capable of. Now in the spotlight, and you being the guy to defend those number one wide receivers, can you handle that pressure from week 1 all the way to the end of your season when the season ends, and go to the NFL draft and go kill the NFL draft process? Because again, this is a very talented kid. And I'll say this, Keith, I know you're gonna ask who I have at CB1. I have Leonard Moore at CB1. If this young man takes the steps that I think he can, and we believe he can, he's going to make that a conversation. Like he's going to make that a conversation where it's going to be like, do I want Denzel Ward or do I want, a Joey Porter Jr., Sauce Gardner type of guy? Like, you know what I mean? In terms of body type.
It's probably going to come down to a scheme thing, probably, of who goes first, right? With that situation.
100%. I think Ellis Robinson, 100%. He's got the chance to be a highly rated corner in what looks to be a very strong cornerback class. Not just these two. There's some other guys we're going to be able to talk about later on this week as well and whatnot, Keith. I'm excited to get into this cornerback class more. We weren't as high on the cornerbacks for 2025, 2026, I'm sorry. Is past draft. I know you were pretty much out on the quarterback class. I like the class, but I think this one's got the opportunity to be better, to be a greater class.
Yeah, this got some dudes in it. But DP, that wraps up another episode, man, of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I want to end this podcast off by saying shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. I am Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at The Talent Code. That right there is my guy, my co-host, Mr. Damian Parson. You'll find him on X at DP_NFL. And like we like to say, man, y'all come talk to us because we like to talk back.
Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. As always, guys, if you're watching on YouTube, go like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you're always notified whenever we drop fire content on the channel. If you're listening on audio, please leave us a 5-star review. Share this podcast with a friend. Help everybody be smarter by listening to me and my boy Keith here on the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. On tomorrow's show, we're getting more in depth into this cornerback class because, again, we believe this could be a very good class overall. So come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.